Greetings. This is Coach Jaki with Uzazi Podcast. Our podcast today is titled Heal the Wound or You Will Bleed on Someone Who Didn't Hurt You. The Women's Football World Cup 2019 edition ended about 10 days ago, and I watched the final match. Two players clashed mid-air, missing the ball and catching each other's head instead. One of those players fell to the ground. When she tried to sit up, I could see blood oozing from a cut on her forehead. The medical team was called in and the match was stopped. She was moved off the field to have the bleeding attended to, because the rules do not allow a player to continue playing while bleeding. If the bleeding cannot be stopped, then the player has to be replaced. I also recalled a quote I saw somewhere recently. It was something like, if you don't heal the bleeding wound, you will end up bleeding on someone who didn't hurt you. I don't remember who this quote is attributed to. But this got me reflecting. For you to bleed on someone, they must be really close. And who gets closer to you than your children? Wounds can be physical, external and visible, or internal and invisible. They could also be emotional, and emotional wounds are more difficult to put a finger on. Some wounds are easily dealt with a bandage, some tape, 1 or 2 stitches. Other wounds need more sophisticated handling. Some wounds heal quickly in a few days. Some take much longer to close and heal. If the wound is not healed, you could end up bleeding on your children, and they are not the ones who hurt you. But how does bleeding on your children manifest? Think about the last time you said no to your child. What was it about? No means not allowed, not accepted, rejected. And let's face it, in life, rejection happens all the time. You may not get selected to the team. You may not be given the part that you wanted in the play. You may not be invited to join a group or to go to a party. You may not be accepted at a university, or you may not be promoted. And you might be rejected by somebody you consider to be a special friend. So it's entirely appropriate that you should help your children to get acquainted with this reality, because you can't say yes to everything. As I mentioned in another podcast, helping your children to prepare for life is part of their apprenticeship. And confronting rejection is one of those things that will inevitably happen. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying no sometimes to your children. But your reasons for no aren't always about allowing your child to experience rejection in order to build resilience. Your no is sometimes the blood that I'm referring to. Your no is sometimes blood from a bleeding wound. And that wound wasn't caused by your child. Listen to this story about Zuri. When Zuri was about 15, she ran away from home. And she ran away because, in her words, her mother didn't allow her to do anything. When friends were meeting to go watch a movie, she wasn't allowed. When there was a birthday party, she wasn't allowed. When she wanted to learn how to use makeup, she wasn't allowed. The straw that broke the camel's back involved an invitation to our destination wedding. Her friend's brother was marrying and she was invited. And her mom was invited as well. But she couldn't go because she could not get time off work. And this was a family well known to Zuri's mom. And there would be no cost to her mom because the friend's mother said she would take care of everything. They had hired a van and there was extra seating. They had booked an apartment and there was an extra bed. Zuri wasn't going to add to the cost of the trip. And anyway, they loved to have her around. She was pretty much part of the family. But still, Zuri's mom said no. So Zuri ran away. She didn't go to the wedding, but she disappeared from home for 2 weeks. If your child has never disappeared from home, you cannot imagine what this feels like. Some people say it's worse than the death of your child because with death, you know exactly where your child is and you know that they cannot be hurt. But when they disappear from home, you agonize over what could be happening to them. You agonize that you cannot protect them. You agonize that they think that you cannot find them, that you are not looking for them. You agonize over so many things. And of course, you agonize over the fact that you may never see them again. But Zuri came back after a relative intervened. Eventually, Mom acknowledged that fear of being criticized for raising her daughter leniently was driving her to lay down the law in an extreme manner. Zuri's father, for one, criticized her constantly about how she was raising their daughter, even though he didn't live with them. But a deeper fear existed. Mom was scared that, like her, Zuri might end up pregnant and alone, and having raised a child alone, she knew just how difficult that could be. Zuri's mom's unhealed wound was the wound caused by being rejected by Zuri's dad and being rejected by her parents when they found out that she was pregnant at 19. Zuri's mom still carries the wound of feeling fearful that something might happen to her daughter, or that something might happen to her and her daughter Zuri would then be on her own. This is valid pain for sure, but it's not Zuri's pain. Yet here was Mom bleeding all over her daughter. The wounds that drive our nose, or the wounds that bleed over our children, could be recent, like a bad day at the office, or they could be from long ago, like Zuri's mom's wound. They could be superficial or deep and almost forgotten, but not quite closed and certainly not healed. Otherwise, they wouldn't continue to cause us pain. Many wounds need a helping hand to clean and close. If you've been carrying one around for many years, it probably needs more help to clean and close. So why not reach out and get that bleeding to stop? It will help your child, but in fact, the greatest beneficiary is you. Is it a fear of rejection? Is it a fear of failure? Is it anger that you have been carrying for a long time? Is it something you have sworn not to forgive someone for? Could it be that you're still hurting from not making it into the course you wanted? Think about it. If you are carrying around a wound, one of the people that could get hurt because of your pain is your child. Get help if necessary to heal that wound, and you and your child will both benefit greatly.